There's a moment every woman experiences in her life, usually quietly, privately, where she wonders what truly makes a man remember her, not just like her, not just be attracted to her, but remember her in a way he can't shake. A way that slips into his thoughts when he's driving, working, showering, or lying. Awake at night wondering why you, of all women, stand out so vividly in his mind. And here's the shocking truth almost no one talks about. It's not how beautiful you are. It's not how experienced you are. It's not even how wild or adventurous you get. The women who stay etched in a man's memory, the ones he never forgets, are the ones who show up in moments of intimacy with a different energy, a deeper presence, a confidence that doesn't come from technique, but from intention. These are the women who master oral in a way that has nothing to do with pornography or performance, and everything to do with psychology, emotional connection, and the energy they bring into the room. Men are wired in a way most women don't realize. When a man feels desired, not tolerated, not accommodated, but genuinely desired, something shifts inside him. It imprints on him. It anchors him to the moment and to you. And oral, when it's done with authenticity and confidence, is one of the most powerful ways to make that imprint. Because this isn't just physical, it's primal, it's emotional. It's the moment where he feels your intention, your curiosity, your playfulness, your command of this situation, whether you're being soft, slow, teasing, or taking the lead. And when you understand the deeper truth behind why oral affects men so intensely, you unlock a power. That makes you unforgettable, not because of what you do, but because of how you make him feel. And that is what we're diving into today. When a woman shows up to intimacy with intent instead of obligation, everything about the moment changes. Most women underestimate just how sensitive men are to the emotional energy behind pleasure. Men may not always articulate it, but they feel it deeply. And the difference between I'm doing this because I should and I'm doing this because I genuinely want to is the difference between a forgettable experience and an unforgettable one. You can do the exact same physical things, but if your energy is rushed, distracted, or hesitant, a man won't experience it as connection. He'll feel like he's being accommodated, not desired. And for men, that feeling of being tolerated is one of the biggest turnoffs, even if they never say it out loud. But when a woman brings intention, presence, and emotional investment into the moment, he feels chosen, he feels special. He feels wanted in a way men rarely get to feel. That is why intent is the foundation of unforgettable intimacy. When a woman approaches oral with intention, she slows down not because she's unsure, but because she's savoring the moment. She isn't thinking about how she looks, whether she's doing it right or what he's thinking. Her mind isn't scattered, it's centered. She's living inside the moment, not trying to rush through it or perform for approval. And that presence alone can make a man's entire nervous system relax. It tells him, I'm here with you, I'm here for this, not out of pressure, but out of choice. This kind of intention shows up in the smallest gestures. It's the way she touches him before anything even begins, slowly, curiously, like she's exploring him instead of fulfilling a duty. It's the way she pauses just long enough to make him anticipate what's coming instead of jumping straight into the act like it's a checklist. It's the subtle but powerful difference between going through motions and creating an experience. Men rarely get to feel adored. They rarely get moments where a woman's energy is fully directed toward their pleasure without judgment, rush, or self-consciousness. So when you bring real intention, it stands out. It hits a different emotional layer inside him, one that lingers and echoes long after the physical sensation ends. He remembers how it felt to be desired, not just touched. And here's the part most people never talk about. Intention communicates emotional investment. When you show up with intent, it tells him you care about the connection, not just the act. It says, I'm paying attention to you. It says, I like making you feel good. That is intoxicating for a man, because for men, arousal is not just physical, it's heavily psychological. The moment he senses your want instead of your willingness, everything intensifies. For him, his breathing, his sensitivity, his focus, his emotional bond with you. Obligation, on the other hand, creates distance. Even if he doesn't consciously register it, he feels you pulling away energetically. It's subtle, the rushed pace, the lack of eye contact, the stiffness in your movements, the absence of playfulness. When a woman is doing something because she thinks she should, there's no emotional electricity. It's flat, functional. And while he may still appreciate the effort, it won't leave a lasting imprint on him. But intention is electric. Intention is seductive. Intention is what makes him replay the moment in his mind days later and feel a spark go through his chest. Intention is what attaches emotion to heat, desire to memory, and physical pleasure to a feeling of being chosen. When you show up with intent instead of obligation, you become the woman. He remembers not because you performed, but because you connected. You made the moment meaningful. You made him feel something real. And that is why he never forgets the woman who chooses the moment with intention, not the woman who simply completes it. Most people think men are obsessed with technique. They think men want complexity, tricks, or wildly advanced moves they saw in some online article written by someone who probably has zero real-world experience. But the truth, the real, quiet truth no one tells women is that technique alone isn't what makes a moment unforgettable. Confidence is. A woman with moderate technique but undeniable confidence will always be more intoxicated than a woman with perfect technique who feels unsure, hesitant, or disconnected. Confidence shifts the entire energy of intimacy. It changes how he feels, how he responds, how deeply he lets go. When you're confident, he relaxes. When you're confident, he becomes more open. When you're confident, he stops worrying about whether you're overthinking or comparing yourself to some imaginary standard, and he starts feeling the moment. He starts feeling you. Most women don't realize how much men crave a woman's certainty. Not certainty that she's perfect, certainty that she's present, that she's not in her head, that she's enjoying the interaction, not anxiously performing it. A confident woman isn't rushing or apologizing for her choices. She's not doubting whether she's doing the right thing. She's tuned in. She listens to his breathing, his posture, his reactions. She lets herself be guided naturally. She trusts herself. That self-trust is a massive turn-on for him because it creates emotional safety. Yes, emotional safety. Men don't use that word often, but they feel it. A confident woman creates an atmosphere where he doesn't have to pretend, hold his breath, or control the moment. He can surrender to pleasure because he feels she's not lost in insecurity or expectation. She's grounded, she's steady, she's there with him. And when he senses that, every single nerve in his body responds. Confidence also shows up in small but powerful ways. It's in the way you start slow instead of rushing because you're not afraid of silence or build up or letting the anticipation do half the work. It's in the moment you pause and lift your eyes to look at him, not to check for approval, but to show him you know exactly what you're doing and you're enjoying the effect it's having on him. That gaze alone can send a shockwave through him. It's in the way you explore him without asking permission every 2 seconds. A confident woman reads him. She doesn't need verbal confirmation for every micro move because she's paying attention to the nonverbal signals men give so loudly. The change in his breath, the subtle tightening of his muscles, the way his voice drops or disappears completely. She uses those cues as her compass. And that attunement makes him feel intimately understood in a way technique alone never can. Confidence is also the ability to be playful. Not performative, but playful in a way that shows you're enjoying yourself. A little smile, a pause, a tease, a moment where you pull back just enough to make him feel the tension. These things don't come from technique. They come from a woman who feels comfortable in her sensuality. A woman who isn't racing toward a goal but savoring the moment. And that is what amplifies his desire. Men don't talk about this, but they feel more deeply attracted to women who can be slow and intentional rather than frantic and impressive, not because slow is inherently better, but because slow communicates certainty, communicates calmness. It communicates that you're not trying to win something, you're sharing something. Confidence creates emotional intimacy. It signals, I'm not afraid of this moment. I'm not afraid of your reaction. I'm not afraid of my own desire. And that is powerful because when he feels your confidence, he begins to trust the moment in ways he can't if he feels you're anxious or disconnected. Technique stimulates his body. Confidence captivates his mind. And when you captivate a man's mind, you become unforgettable. There is something magnetic, almost addictive about a woman who can shift effortlessly between power and softness. Most women lean heavily in one direction. They're either sweet, gentle and hesitant, or they jump to the opposite end, trying to be bold, aggressive, or overly dominant because they think that's what men want. But the truth is, neither extreme is what captivates a man. What stays with him, what imprints on him, is the woman who knows how to blend both energies in a way that feels natural, intuitive, and deeply feminine. Men respond to contrast. They crave emotional texture. They crave variation, not chaos, but a dance of energies that keeps the moment alive and unpredictable in the best possible way. And when a woman mixes power with softness, she creates exactly that, a dynamic experience. It's not flat, not monotone, not one note. It's layered, emotional, and unforgettable. Softness is where trust lives. It's in the way you start slow, the way you touch him with intention instead of urgency. Softness says, you're safe with me. I'm present. I'm here. It allows him to relax, to let down the part of himself that is always performing, protecting, or carrying the weight of masculinity. Softness is nurturing, but not maternal. It's sensual. It's the kind of softness that makes him sigh without realizing it, that makes his shoulder drop, that makes him feel cared for in a way he rarely admits he longs for. But then there's the power. And this is where unforgettable women separate themselves from everyone else. Power isn't forceful. It isn't aggressive. It's not about being in charge in a masculine way. Power is confidence. Power is intentionality. Power is a moment where you guide instead of follow. It's the moment when you tilt his chin or reposition him or hold eye contact slightly longer than expected. It's the subtle cue that says, I'm not afraid of this moment, and I'm not afraid of you. It's the juxtaposition of these two energies that drives a man wild, not because one is better than the other, but because the switch between them awakens something primal inside him. Softness draws him in. Power excites him. Softness melts him. Power electrifies him. And when you shift between the two, he never fully knows what's coming next in the best possible way. That unpredictability creates anticipation, and anticipation is the lifeblood of desire. Unforgettable women know when to tease. They know when to pause. They know when to apply just enough pressure or assertiveness to take control of the moment, and when to ease back into softness that feels like warm breath on his skin. They create a rhythm, a dance that is far more psychological than physical. And it's that psychology that men crave. It's that psychology that bonds them to the moment and makes them replay it over and over in their minds. A woman who blends power and softness speaks two languages at once. The softness tells him, I see you. I appreciate you. The power tells him, I want you. I'm not intimidated by your desire. Together, these messages create emotional cocktail he can't resist. He feels desired, but also cared for. He feels excited, but also understood. He feels stimulated physically, but also deeply connected emotionally. Men don't just want passion. They want polarity. They want to feel your feminine softness, while also feeling your confident command of the moment. That duality is what makes a moment feel alive, because it mirrors the complexity of real attraction. It's not one-directional. It's not predictable. It's a living, breathing experience. When you master this balance, he won't just enjoy the moment. He will remember it. He will compare future moments to it. And he will feel drawn to you in a way he can't fully explain. Because every woman can offer softness, and some can offer power, but the woman who can blend the two seamlessly, she is rare. And men never forget rare. Most people think unforgettable intimacy is all about physical skill. They think the magic is in the movement, the speed, the angle, the how-to. But the truth, the part no one talks about, is that women who leave a lasting mark on a man aren't relying on technique as much as they're relying on psychology. They understand the mind behind the body. They know the real flame starts before anything physical even happens. And once you understand how to use a man's psychology, you unlock a level of impact that technique alone could never create. Men are far more emotionally and mentally stimulated than they appear. They project confidence, strength, and self-assurance, but underneath all that, they crave something deeper. The feeling of being wanted, admired, and desired in a way that feels personal, not generic. When you use psychology, your presence, your tone, your timing, your energy, you tap into those deeper layers. The first psychological element unforgettable women master is anticipation. They don't rush. They don't jump to the finish line. They build the moment like a slow crescendo, letting him feel the tension rising before anything significant even happens. A simple pause, a look, a breath that lingers longer than expected, a whisper that isn't even a full sentence, just a hint of what's coming. Men are incredibly responsive to timing, and when you stretch the moment before anything begins, you're playing directly with his mind, not his body. Then comes the second psychological layer, making it personal. When a woman uses psychology, she doesn't treat intimacy like a routine. She treats it like a form of communication. She reads him. She notices what he responds to emotionally, his breathing, his expressions, the subtle changes in how his body shifts. She adjusts based on him, not based on some checklist she memorized. That adaptability makes him feel deeply seen and appreciated. Because when a man feels understood, he opens up, not just physically, emotionally. The third psychological element unforgettable women use is power through subtle dominance, not aggression, but influence. It's a moment when you guide him instead of waiting for him to lead. It's the way you tilt his head, place your hand somewhere intentional, or whisper something that makes his breath hitch. These aren't physical moves as much as they are signals. They tell him you're not a passive participant. You're a woman who knows the moment belongs to both of you. The fourth psychological layer is emotional presence. Most people underestimate how much a man can feel when a woman is fully connected. When she's not in her head, not distracted, not self-conscious. Presence is rare. Presence is powerful. Presence locks his attention on you because men aren't used to someone giving them that level of focused energy. When you're present, fully tuned into the dynamic between you, he feels chosen in a way most men never get to feel. And finally, the fifth psychological layer is affirmation, not verbal flattery, but emotional confirmation. The small moments that let him know you're enjoying this too. A soft smile, a gentle sound, the way you run your hand somewhere with intention as if you're appreciating him. These cues tell him he's affecting you, and that alone amplifies everything he feels. Psychology is what makes the experience unforgettable because it goes beyond sensation. Sensation fades. Technique can be copied, but the way you make him feel the anticipation, the emotional attunement, the sense of being wanted, the psychological tension you build, that is unique to you. That becomes memory. That becomes attachment. That becomes the moment he replays in his mind long after it's over. Because an unforgettable woman doesn't just touch his body. She plays his mind like an instrument. And that is why he'll never forget her. One of the greatest mistakes people make in physical intimacy is treating it like a task, a box to check, a duty to fulfill. And the truth is, most men can feel the difference immediately, sometimes even before anything physical begins. Men may not be emotionally expressive in obvious ways, but they're incredibly perceptive when it comes to the energy a woman brings into intimate moments. If she's doing something because she feels she has to, he senses it. If she's just trying to get it over with, he feels that too. And nothing kills desire faster. But when a woman treats intimacy as connection as something meaningful, playful, and bonding a man feels it on a level he can't even articulate, that's when the moment becomes unforgettable. Not because of anything technical she did, but because of what the experience represented emotionally. A woman who treats intimacy as intimacy rather than an obligation creates a kind of magic that lingers long after the moment is over. When she approaches intimacy as a shared experience, she shows up with curiosity. She's not going through motions, she's exploring him, learning him. Reading him, she approaches the moment with the same energy she would bring to a passionate conversation or a deep kiss, present, attentive, fully invested, and that presence makes him feel valued. Men rarely get to feel that kind of emotional focus. They are so often put in the role of the pursuer, the doer, the initiator, that when a woman brings genuine engagement, it catches him off guard in the best possible way. Treating intimacy as connection also means she leaves behind the mindset of pressure to perform, pressure to be perfect, pressure to meet some standard created by movies or society. Instead, she treats it like an interaction between two people, not an act one person does to the other. She makes it playful. She brings softness. She brings warmth. She brings enthusiasm, not exaggerated or fake, but authentic. And enthusiasm is one of the biggest psychological triggers for a man's emotional memory. It's not that she needs to be overly energetic. It's the subtle things, the way she smiles in the middle of it, the way she takes a small breath, like she's savoring the closeness, the way she touches him in between, reminding him this is about connection, not just stimulation. These tiny moments are what transform an act into intimacy. Men remember how they felt more than anything else, and feeling cared for, wanted, and appreciated is rare enough that when they experience it, it becomes unforgettable. When a woman sees intimacy as a burden, the whole experience becomes rushed, flat, and devoid of emotional spark. But when she sees it as a chance to bond, something shifts. She slows down. She takes her time. She interacts with him instead of working on him. She lets the moment breathe, and that breathing room is where connection grows. It draws him in, makes him feel closer, and creates a sense of partnership rather than performance. The truth is, the women men remember aren't the ones who were the most skilled. They're the ones who made the moment feel meaningful. They're the ones who made intimacy feel like a privilege, not a task. They're the ones whose energy felt inviting and warm, rather than drained or resigned. When you treat intimacy as connection, not obligation, you shift the entire dynamic. He feels chosen, he feels appreciated, he feels emotionally fed. And most importantly, he feels connected to you in a way that creates loyalty, desire, and memory all at once. That is why he never forgets the woman who treats intimacy, not like a chore. At the end of the day, what makes a woman unforgettable isn't perfect moves, expert techniques, or anything that looks like a performance. It's the energy she brings. It's the intention behind her touch. It's the confidence she carries in her presence. It's the psychology she understands, the balance she plays with, the connection she builds. Men don't bond through mechanics, they bond through emotion. Through feeling chosen, through feeling desired, through feeling understood in ways they rarely talk about. When you master that, you become the woman he compares every experience to. You become the one who lingers in his mind, not because of what you did, but because of who you were in the moment. So if you take anything from this, take this. Intimacy is an emotional language. When you learn to speak it with intention, with confidence, with softness, and with connection, he will never forget you. If you love this message and you want more insights that help you deeply understand men, attraction, and connection, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next powerful episode. And share this with any woman who deserves to feel confident,